from Aqib Talib calling his injury karma for the abuse allegations.
You got allegations of beating your wife. Hey, that shit is real. I don't play like that.
To Brian Finneran saying he needs to be punished.
He needs to be chastised. He quit on that team in the fourth quarter, man.
NFL players are revealing why Tyreek Hill deserves to die. What turned the entire league against him, and why won't a single team touch him? Let's get into it. The fall from grace. They called him the Cheetah, the fastest man in football, a human blur who could turn a 5-yard slant into a 70-yard symphony of destruction, multiple Pro Bowl selections, a Super Bowl victory with the Kansas City Chiefs, and over 11,000 career receiving yards. Tyreek Hill had everything that makes a man legendary in the National Football League. But there's a truth about speed that nobody talks about. It doesn't just carry you forward. Sometimes, it accelerates you straight into a wall. And as we sit here today, looking at Tyreek Hill's situation in March 2026, the wall has arrived. The Miami Dolphins released him on February 16, 2026, cutting loose a 5-time All-Pro in a slew of cost-saving moves that saved the franchise approximately $22.8 million in cap space, but left behind a $28.2 million dead money charge like a scar on the books. And the question that hangs in the air now isn't whether Tyreek Hill can still play football. The question is whether anyone in the National Football League even wants him to. Because here's the thing that makes this story different from a normal roster cut. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about a devastating knee injury that tore multiple ligaments, including his ACL, in Week 4 against the Jets, and ended his 2025 season after just 4 games. This is about something deeper, something that has followed Tyreek Hill like a shadow since his very first day in the national spotlight. To understand why we are where we are, you have to go all the way back to December 2014. Tyreek Hill was a young man at Oklahoma State University. He had the world in front of him. And then, according to police reports, he was arrested for domestic assault and battery by strangulation against his pregnant girlfriend, Crystal Espinal. She alleged that he grabbed her neck, pinned her against a wall, threw her to the ground, pulled her hair, put her in a headlock, and punched her in the stomach. She was 8 weeks pregnant at the time. Let that sit with you for a moment. In August 2015, Hill pleaded guilty to domestic assault and battery by strangulation. He received a deferred 3-year prison sentence, probation, anger management, and was required to complete a 52-week batterer's intervention program. Oklahoma State kicked him off the team. And yet, somehow, some way, the Kansas City Chiefs selected him in the 5th round of the 2016 NFL Draft, despite most teams removing him from their boards entirely due to character concerns. The second chance was extended. The Cheetah was born. And for a while, it looked like a redemption story. Hill was electric, untouchable, the kind of player you build an offense around. But then came 2019. Police responded to Hill and Espinal's home after reports of child abuse involving their 3-year-old son, who had suffered a broken arm. An audio recording surfaced where Espinal accused Hill of breaking their son's arm and terrorizing the child. On that tape, Hill could be heard saying words that would follow him forever, including the threat, "You need to be terrified of me too." The Johnson County District Attorney declined charges, acknowledging a crime occurred, but unable to prove who was responsible. The Chiefs suspended Hill indefinitely from team activities. He met with NFL investigators for 8 hours, and then, on July 19, 2019, the NFL concluded its review and determined there was insufficient evidence of a personal conduct policy violation. No suspension was issued. Hill underwent clinical evaluation and therapy, regained custody of his son, and went right back to doing what he does best, catching footballs and scoring touchdowns as if nothing had happened. And that, right there, is the part that haunts people. Not just that these incidents occurred, but that the machine of professional football seemed to absorb them, process them, and spit out the same result every single time. No consequences. The talent was too great, the speed was too valuable, and the show, as it always does, went on. Fast forward to 2023. A new team, a new city, a record-breaking contract with the Dolphins, but the incidents kept coming. A marina worker in Miami alleged Hill slapped him during a dispute. No charges were filed. Instagram model Sophie Hall sued Hill, claiming he broke her leg during a football drill at his home. That civil case remains ongoing. He was detained by police before a Dolphins game in September 2024, with body cam footage showing officers forcing him to the ground over traffic violations. And then came the allegations that changed everything. In September 2024, 2025, Hill's estranged wife Keita Vaquero alleged 8 separate instances of domestic violence during their 17-month marriage, claims that detailed shoving, hair pulling, spitting, ripping off a necklace that caused injury, twisting intimate body parts, and even an alleged attempt to punch her pregnant stomach. A 911 call from their April 2025 domestic dispute revealed Vaquero telling the dispatcher, "I'm so scared." 3 words that cut through every stat line and highlight real like a knife. She filed for divorce the very next day. The timing of these revelations mattered enormously because they came just weeks before the start of the 2025 NFL season, putting the Dolphins, the league, and every sponsor attached to Hill's name in an impossibly uncomfortable position.
We broke a big story on the TMZ Sports website. One of the best players in the NFL accused of doing some pretty horrific stuff to his now estranged wife.
The TMZ Sports team laid it out plainly on their broadcast, and the details only got worse from there.
She says he violently attacked her, threw her to the floor, twisted her intimate body parts, ripped her hair out, and grabbed anything on her person he could get a hold of.
The allegations were staggering, and they weren't coming from a stranger or a tabloid. They were coming from the woman he married. Her attorney stated that Hill's conduct was extreme, outrageous, beyond all bounds of decency, and is regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in a civilized community.
She said Hill's conduct was extreme, outrageous, beyond all bounds of decency, and is regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in a civilized community.
Now, in the interest of telling this story the right way, Hill's legal team pushed back hard.
These new allegations are further proof that Ms. Vaquero and/or her counsel are set on partaking in a smear campaign in hopes that Mr. Hill will settle.
His attorney Julius Collins called it a shakedown. Hill denied the claims. He awaits his day in court. But the court of public opinion, that court had already rendered its verdict long ago. The NFL launched an investigation under its personal conduct policy in September 2025. And as of early 2026, that review remains open, a looming cloud that could lead to a suspension even without criminal charges. Women's advocacy groups have demanded his suspension, citing a pattern that stretches all the way back to 2014. And when you add it all up, the guilty plea in college, the child abuse investigation, the Marina incident, the Sophie Hall lawsuit, the police detainment, and now 8 alleged incidents of domestic violence against his estranged wife, what you're left with is not just a troubled athlete. What you're left with is the uncomfortable reality that Anscape described perfectly, the uncomfortable reality of Tyreek Hill's success, a man whose athletic brilliance has, for over a decade, seemed to overshadow everything else. But now, the shine has finally worn off. NFL players speak. See, here's where this story takes a turn that matters. Because it's one thing for fans on social media to call a man a scumbag. It's one thing for anonymous commenters to rage into the void of their keyboards late at night, protected by screen names and avatars. That noise, however loud it gets, can be dismissed. It can be waved away as the price of fame, the tax that every public figure pays simply for being visible. But it's a completely different thing, a fundamentally different kind of reckoning, when the people who played the game alongside him, the men who suited up in the same locker rooms, ran on the same fields, bled on the same turf, and lived the same brutal, beautiful grind of professional football start, publicly saying what they really think. And what they think about Tyreek Hill? It is not flattering, not even close. Let's start with Ryan Clark, former NFL safety, current ESPN analyst, a man who has made it very clear that he is pro player all the time, which makes what he said about Tyreek Hill all the more devastating. After Hill's now infamous post-game outburst following the Dolphins' 2024 season-ending loss to the Jets, where Hill told reporters he was out and essentially said he didn't want to be in Miami anymore, Clark didn't hold back.
If you're a competitor and you want to win, you can't be oxymoronic, because a competitor that wants to win gets on the field when he's asked to get on the field because he's that good.
And Clark wasn't done. He went even further in his assessment of Hill's actions.
So to me, it's total bullcrap by Tyreek Hill, and in his actions and in his words.
Total bullcrap. Those are the words of a man who played in this league, who understands what it means to lead, and who looked at Tyreek Hill in that moment and saw a man failing the very teammates who depended on him. Now what makes this so remarkable is what happened next, because Hill actually confronted Clark face to face about these comments, and Clark didn't flinch.
Here's what I said about you. When you go into the locker room and you say what you said, that's not leadership to you. Right.
Clark stood on it, and to his credit, Hill seemed to actually absorb the message. In that same exchange, Hill acknowledged what Clark was saying.
Having calmed down, how do you see that situation now? I feel just like you said.
Hill took accountability in that conversation. He did, but taking accountability in a one-on-one sit-down and actually changing behavior are two very different things. And the broader NFL community was watching. Braxton Berrios was Hill's own teammate on the Dolphins, a man who went through that season with him. And when asked about Hill's post-game outburst, even Berrios, a teammate, not an adversary, couldn't hide his disappointment.
But you hate that as his teammate, right? Because you just went to war, since late July, and the first minute after those things get said.
You hate that as his teammate. That one line tells you everything you need to know about how Hill's actions affected the people closest to him. When your own guys are going on record saying they hated what you did, there's a problem deeper than any play call or game plan can fix. Then there are the former NFL players who looked at the bigger picture of Hill's career decisions and saw a man who traded championships for checks and was now complaining about the consequences. Ovi Mughelli, a former two-time All-Pro fullback, and Brian Finneran, a former wide receiver, didn't pull any punches on the Shadow League.
Seems like Tyreek, he was in the perfect spot to win games, but he wanted the money, and now he's realizing that everything glitters is not gold.
Mughelli nailed it with surgical precision. Hill left Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback of his generation. He left Andy Reid, the offensive mastermind who knew exactly how to weaponize Hill's speed. He left the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty, a team that went on to stack Super Bowls without him, proving that the machine didn't need the cheetah to keep winning. He left all of that for a $120 million contract in Miami, a franchise that hadn't sniffed a championship in decades. And now he was complaining about the results of the very decision he made with his own two hands. And Finneran wasn't about to let that irony go unaddressed.
I don't know what he wants. He left the best situation in football, like you said, dude, and he's already made generational type money.
And then Finneran delivered the final blow to Hill's on-field reputation with a directness that only a fellow player can deliver.
He needs to be chastised. He quit on that team in the fourth quarter, man.
He quit. That's the word that stings most in professional football. You can be slow, you can be limited, you can be outmatched on any given Sunday by a better player having a better day. But in the NFL, a league built on the foundation of grit, of sacrifice, of dragging yourself off the turf one more time when every fiber of your body screams at you to stay down, the one thing that is never, ever forgiven is quitting. You quit on your teammates, you quit on the men who blocked for you, who sacrificed their bodies so you could catch that ball. And those men remember. They always remember. And then there's Aqib Talib, former All-Pro cornerback, a man who is known for saying exactly what's on his mind. No filter, no hesitation. When Tyreek Hill suffered that devastating season-ending knee injury in October 2025, Talib didn't offer sympathy. He offered something much more pointed.
I always said, these football guys don't play no games. You know what I'm saying? They do not play games. They don't make no mistakes.
And Talib went further, connecting Hill's injury directly to the domestic violence allegations swirling around him at the time.
You got allegations of beating your wife. Hey, that shit is real. I don't play like that.
And he didn't stop there. Talib made it clear this wasn't casual commentary. This was a deeply personal conviction about how the universe works.
So you're suggesting
they tease you a little bit.
Even?
Karma.
No, it's karma, man. Hey, man, hey.
And then the observation that hit the hardest, the acknowledgement that Hill's very identity as a player, his speed, may be gone forever.
You seen that tackle happen 1,000 times.
Thousands.
Thousand
A
times.
billion
And then
times.
he snapped his whole leg in half.
Now, to be fair, not everyone agreed with Talib's assessment. Former NFL defensive lineman Marcellus Wiley responded to Talib's karma comments with a thoughtful pushback on his show, arguing that the concept of karma doesn't work the way most people think it does.
I must disagree with him in terms of the football gods don't play. I disagree, not because they don't play, but they don't play the way you think they play.
Wiley made the point that there are players in the Hall of Fame with terrible character who never suffered major injuries and good men who were constantly hurt.
I mean, the best people, choir boys almost you could call them, right? And what do they say? You never want a team full of choir boys. And those choir boys stayed hurt or stayed sorry.
Whether you believe in karma or not, one thing is undeniable. The sentiment that Hill's injuries and misfortunes are somehow earned has taken hold in certain corners of the NFL community. And that's a devastating place for any player to find themselves, because it means that when you're down, the people around you aren't just silent, they're nodding. They're saying you had it coming. That is a loneliness that no contract can fix. Even Ryan Fitzpatrick, the former NFL quarterback quarterback weighed in on a podcast, urging Hill to look inward. As you get older and your skills diminish, not being a great leader, maybe you got to look in the mirror and figure out why it keeps happening to you. Fitzpatrick wasn't being cruel, he was being honest, and that honesty reflects a growing consensus among the men who have walked in similar cleats, that Tyreek Hill has been the architect of his own downfall, brick by brick, year after year, and Steve Smith Sr., the legendary receiver known for his own fiery personality, expressed genuine shock at Hill's post-game comments, saying he was thrown off and actually shocked by what came out of Hill's mouth. When Steve Smith Sr., a man who was himself no stranger to controversy during his playing days, is shocked by your behavior, you have crossed a line that very few players ever cross. The picture these players paint is consistent: a man with generational talent who lacks the leadership, accountability, and self-awareness to match it. And now, those criticisms go far beyond just the football field. The NFL's most unwanted free agent. So here we are, March 2026. Tyreek Hill is a free agent for the first time in his career. He's 32 years old, a number that, in the NFL's punishing calculus of age and attrition, might as well be written in red ink, coming off a catastrophic knee injury, facing an unresolved NFL investigation that could result in a 6-game suspension or more under the league's personal conduct policy, and carrying a reputation that has become, in the words of one anonymous NFL general manager, simply too much to take on. That unnamed GM put it bluntly: "We aren't touching him, no chance. We think he's done. Not even as a vet minimum guy, not even at the veteran minimum." Think about that for a second. This is a man who, just 3 years ago, was playing on a contract worth $120 million. A man who has 819 career receptions, 83 touchdowns, over 11,000 career receiving yards. And there is a general manager in the National Football League who wouldn't sign him for the league minimum salary. The reasons are layered, and they are damning. First, there is the injury. Dr. David Chow, the renowned sports injury analyst, has classified Hill's multi-ligament knee tear as potentially career-threatening, given that Hill's entire game is built on speed. Reports indicate he may need additional surgery, with some analysts, like Cameron Wolfe, suggesting he may miss part or all of the 2026 season. For a player whose value is defined entirely by being the fastest man on the field, a knee that may never fully recover is not just an injury, it's an identity crisis. Second, there is the age. Hill turned 32 on March 1st, 2026. In NFL receiver years, that's the twilight. The league is trending younger, faster, cheaper. Teams don't want to invest in aging speed merchants when the draft is loaded with young legs who cost a fraction of the price. Third, and perhaps most importantly, there is the off-field baggage. The NFL's personal conduct policy review remains open, and as Mike Florio reminded everyone, this unresolved probe could result in significant discipline in 2026, making any signing a gamble that most front offices simply aren't willing to take. You're not just signing a player, you're signing a potential suspension, a guaranteed media firestorm, and a PR headache that no team's communications department wants to manage. Analyst Zach Kelberman has urged teams like the Broncos to stay far away, citing diminished skills and character concerns. It's a sentiment that appears to be shared widely across the league's decision makers. Hill, for his part, has refused to go quietly. After the Dolphins released him, he posted on Instagram, "Every chapter in life has taught me something. This one taught me resilience and the power of faith. Grateful for the memories, Miami. To everyone wondering, what's next? Just wait on it. The Cheetah will be back, born again." His agent Drew Rosenhaus has confirmed Hill intends to play in 2026. Hill himself said plainly that he will return, and there is speculation about where he might land. The most talked about destination is a return to Kansas City. Hill has posted cryptic messages referencing Arrowhead Stadium, and betting markets have the Chiefs as favorites at 47% odds. But even Andy Reid, the man who gave Hill his first NFL opportunity, has been measured in his response. Reid told reporters there's nothing happening with Hill, though he acknowledged internal talks with Travis Kelce about the roster's future. Other potential fits have been floated: the Ravens for Lamar Jackson, the Steelers, the Bills, even the Chargers. But the reaction from those organizations has ranged from lukewarm to ice cold. Pittsburgh's GM Omar Khan said he's happy with what we have. Fantasy football projections rank Hill low for 2026, suggesting flex value at best on what would almost certainly be an incentive-heavy deal. The reality is this: Tyreek Hill has become the NFL's most unwanted free agent, not because he can't play, even diminished, his career numbers speak for themselves, but because the sum total of everything he carries with him, the allegations, the investigations, the injury, the age, the attitude, the quitting, the drama, has become what one anonymous source called the juice not worth the squeeze. And the beefs he's accumulated along the way haven't helped his cause. His vulgar tirade against the Buffalo Bills at Fanatics Fest 2025, where he called their players a bunch of bitches speeches, burned bridges in one of the most passionate fan bases in football. His public claim that Tua Tagovailoa was more accurate than Patrick Mahomes alienated Chiefs fans who once worshipped him. Even Jalen Ramsey once dismissed him as more of a return specialist than a true wide receiver. And DK Metcalf publicly challenged his speed crown, claiming, "I got DK speed just like cheetah speed." The man who once burned every defender in his path now finds himself standing alone in a very different kind of open field, one where nobody is trying to catch him because nobody is chasing. And yet, and this is the part that makes this whole saga so profoundly human, there's another side to this story. A side where a man completed every court-ordered program after 2014. A side where he expressed genuine regret. A side where teammates like Tua Tagovailoa expressed sadness over his police detainment, and Travis Kelce publicly shouted him out despite the backlash it drew. A side where the man who sat across from Ryan Clark looked him in the eye and admitted he needed to do better. But here's the truth that hangs over everything. Acknowledgement without change is just performance, and the NFL has watched this performance for a decade now. The pattern of reported volatility, the recurring allegations, the investigations that go unresolved, the moments of accountability that never seem to stick, it all adds up. And what it adds up to is this: an entire league that has collectively decided that the risk of Tyreek Hill outweighs the reward. Whether he deserves another chance is not for us to decide. Whether the allegations are proven is for the courts and the NFL to determine. But what is undeniably true right now, in March 2026, is that Tyreek Hill is the loneliest man in professional football. And for a man who made his living outrunning everyone, there is a painful irony in the fact that the one thing he cannot outrun is himself. The cheetah says he'll be back. The NFL isn't so sure, and maybe that's the cruelest part of all of this, because for 10 years, the National Football League kept giving Tyreek Hill chances. After the domestic assault plea in college, they drafted him. After the child abuse investigation, they let him play. After the Marina incident, the Sophie Hall lawsuit, the police detainment, the checks kept clearing, and the touchdowns kept counting. The league looked at the talent and decided, again and again, that the reward outweighed the risk. But now that the talent is diminished, now that the knee is shattered and the speed is a question mark and the age has caught up, suddenly the risk matters. Suddenly the allegations matter. Suddenly the character concerns that were once brushed aside as the cost of doing business with a generational player have become the very reasons that not a single team wants to pick up the phone. What does that say about the league? What does that say about all of us who watched him score touchdowns and cheered while knowing in the back of our minds everything that came before? Those are questions that don't have easy answers. They're the kind of questions that make you sit in silence for a moment, that make you reckon with the uncomfortable truth that sports fandom sometimes requires us to compartmentalize things that should never be compartmentalized. And they're questions that will linger long after Tyreek Hill's football career, however it ends, is over. Because the story of Tyreek Hill was never just about speed. It was never just about touchdowns or Pro Bowls or contract numbers. It was always, at its core, about what we're willing to overlook when someone can do extraordinary things on a football field. And the answer, for a very long time, was almost everything, until one day, it wasn't anymore. For now, the fastest man in football has nowhere to run. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.